Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About It. This is your host, Taylor, and today's episode I'm going to be answering some of your questions and kind of just expanding on what I've been sharing on Instagram lately about Instagramming, really. So today I'm going to be joined by one of my BFFs and also probably my favorite person I have ever worked with. She's my manager, my friend, my real estate agent, my financial advisor, my everything. So welcome to the show, Courtney of Little Red Management.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We literally talk on the phone every single day. Probably helped me get through all of 2020. Honestly, I don't know what I would have done without our friendship and without, it's true.
Probably.
Yeah. But no, you've just been so much more than just a agent or a manager. And we will talk a little bit about our relationship there. But yeah, I'm just super excited and happy that you're open to doing this episode with me. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. It's kind of an insight into our everyday lives.
Yes.
Your full-time job, even though it might not look like it.
Yes. Yeah. So for anyone that does follow me on Instagram, Courtney is behind most all, I guess of 2020, literally every partnership that I do. But I manage my actual page. I had someone ask me this other day of so are you the one that's posting on your Instagram? And I was like, yes, I come up with all of that. Unless I'm really, really sick. That was a few months ago, and I was really sick, and you helped me and logged on and posted an ad for me because we needed that to go live. But other than that, everything on there is that what I post. But first, I want to start out with kind of how we got in contact with each other, because I think people have this false sense of when contestants get off of the show or when people get off of any kind of reality show that they just all of a sudden are, influencers now, but it really doesn't work like that. So I'd love for you to share a little bit of kind of how we met and, how we met. The honest version.
Yeah, which way?
The first version and then the second version.
Well, no. So, I have been wanting to be in this industry for a while with helping sort of brand, I want to say influencers, but I guess they weren't influencers yet, brand people once they come off a television show. I think when you come off, you're all of a sudden have maybe 10,000 followers, maybe 2 million followers, maybe upwards of that. And I think it can be really scary coming off a show and not really knowing what to do. And I wanted to be that person that people can go to right off a show and be like, what do I do? How do I answer these emails? What do I do with my social media? How much do I charge?
Yep.
What is my thing? Photographers, videographers, just websites, just all these things, not really knowing what to do. And I wanted to be that person that people can come to and ask those questions to, feel super comfortable, and not just be someone that is also going to make you money. And what I mean by that is I want all of my clients and all the people that I work with to be excited about the partnerships that I bring them. And yeah, there's some that you just do to make money and things like that. But at the end of the day, I want someone to feel comfortable and to work with people that know that I have their best interests for them, and I'm constantly trying to figure out how to brand you. But that's kind of a little background of why I got in the industry. And I started really just doing a lot of outreach.
And what is outreach? Sliding into DMs.
But I still do that.
Yes,
brands and stuff, and people. But it's interesting. Yeah. 2017 slid into Taylor's podcast DM and offered to help, because at that time, I literally knew nothing about the world and just wanted to, honestly, I don't know, I guess help people for free / learn a little bit / befriend people. Yeah. And she ignored me. She was too good for me.
I didn't see it.
She just got off Paradise. Like, it's fine. She's too cool for me.
I didn't see it.
And I guess like fast forward like 2.5 years later, I started actually like I fangirled of like everyone else in Bachelor and Big Brother. I'm just kidding.
I was waiting for it. I was like, when is she going to talk about fangirling Bachelor?
Yeah. So I like fangirl Bachelor, but I actually like ran into, I feel like this is how it all happened. Like I wanted to help the I Don't Get It podcast, which is also on the same network. So like shout out. But, let me do some like free, no, I'm just kidding. And I actually reached out to one of the hosts there, kind of started getting to know her. And then like when I visited LA that year, ran into Ashley Iaconetti at the Grove and like asked her all these podcast questions and social media questions. Like literally she sat down with me for like 10 minutes answering my branding questions of like, so how do you get sponsors on the podcast? Like, what is this? Which like, I'm here to answer for you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I started. So then I like DM'd the other host because Ashley's like impossible to get a hold of as well. And Ashley like remembered me and they like Ashley, Lauren, and Az kind of allowed me to run their social channels and everything like that. And that's kind of how I got into, I feel like the Bachelor world, the podcast world, started working for Wave and helping.
Which is the network that this podcast is on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then got reintroduced, I suppose, to you. Yeah.
And I love that story too, because I just think like, I feel like it's inspirational. I feel like it gives people hope. And I also love, like, I feel like you might think I'm like making fun of you when we're like talking about you being a fangirl, but I think it is actually like one of your major strengths because you can look at things from like a fan perspective and from like a business branding perspective. And I think that helps with a lot of things, honestly.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because that is kind of like how I sell myself to new clients, because I feel like me knowing them and watching their television show, like the TV show that they were on, already gives me so much background about the person that it helps me pitch you to brands that make sense of things that you talk about on the show and things like that. So it's interesting because when people come to me and I don't know you, I actually find it harder to secure brand deals. And I'm honestly not as excited about the, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just
about the relationship. I mean,
yeah, like, I guess it's like, I'm such a fan of these people, so I want to help them more. Or something like that. And like, it turns into like fans to friends, like, like definitely, but.
Well, and I think like, because it is a working relationship, like it's not just your coworkers or boss and client or whatever, like it's a relationship. And I've definitely worked with other people who specifically don't watch the show because they don't want to, have any bias or anything towards them. And I understand that perspective as well, but then you are kind of missing out on like, well, what do people know this person for, right? Like what is important to this person? And I think that's really important. All right, so we're going to take a short break right here because I've got a new sponsor of the podcast that I think some of y'all are going to be very excited about. It is keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, low-carb, and GMO-free. And I know you probably think I'm like talking about some kind of a bar or something, but I'm talking about cereal. And I know as kids growing up, we probably like loved cereal. It was like for me, I would have it every morning, but it was also full of a ton of sugar and things that we probably shouldn't really be eating. And so Magic Spoon has those amazing flavors that you love, like cocoa, fruity, frosted, and blueberry, but without all the bad stuff. It's got 11 grams of protein from a milk protein, and it honestly, it does taste very good and makes me like kind of have a little bit of a flashback to my childhood. So you can go to magicspoon.com/Taylor to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code Taylor at checkout to help save you $5 off of your order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product. It's backed with 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So you really don't have nothing to lose here. So you might as well go for it. Again, that's magicspoon.com/Taylor and use the code Taylor to save $5 off. So thank you so much to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this podcast. Super happy to partner with y'all. And I really hope that some of our keto listeners take advantage of this really fun offer and check out Magic Spoon. With all of that said, we can now get back to the show. I feel like this episode is going to be also for folks who are maybe getting off the show, like from the last 2 seasons of Bachelor and Bachelorette. I've already had several conversations of like how things work and how people do things. So can you share a little bit about like the difference between a manager and an agent? Because a lot of folks don't really understand what the difference is.
Well, and I think the hard part is you can be both. When I think of a manager, and I'm still learning every single day as well, but when I think of a manager, I think of someone that's trying to constantly grow you every single day and help you with your content strategy. If you need a photographer or videographer, like they can help you with that. Like they're constantly pitching you. You're going to them for any sort of advice that has to do with your career in general. Mm-hmm. And putting you hopefully, and again, I only started my management company a couple years ago.
Don't qualify yourself. At this point. Don't qualify yourself.
Okay. Well, I want to say I want to get to a point where I can put more of my clients in contact with the right people. Like I think I'm, when it comes to wanting to start a TV show or I don't know how, Modeling is something that is kind of unknown to me that I want to learn more about, because I think as a manager, your client should be able to come to you and you can point them in the right direction. Oh, I want to write a music video. I want to write a book. And like, don't get me wrong. Like I can do it. I know like I can do it, but that's what I'm saying. Like, give me a couple of years, but because like I'm only meeting more and more people in order to like make those happen and understand like even who I trust and who I would want you to write a book with and who the right publishers are. Like it's just, I feel like that is what I mean maybe by a little bit more time of like learning the ropes of that stuff versus an agent might be the people. And this is the route that I've had to do recently, which I feel super blessed to do, to be able to even say this, but the people that I actually, like, I just don't have as much time to give you one-on-one advice. And I'm still happy to pitch you to brand opportunities and to see what I can do in that realm. But I just don't have as much time to be your first person that you call when you wake up and want to figure out what you're posting today. Like, And so
sit on FaceTime with you all day doing emails together.
That's like a different level probably. You can give those, I think you gave those expectations to a few people right off the bat and it didn't, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
I think I'm still learning kind of my boundaries with people and also growing my business where I can honestly be everything to a lot of people, but maybe just not me personally, but people who I hire. So
how do you determine, this is a question I get too, because I think people want to feel valued, right? They want to feel like the person that they're sharing their money with, right, is someone that is going to have their back, is someone that is going to pay attention to them, right? And I know it's been really shitty. There have definitely been times where I felt like, the people that I was working with really didn't care about me personally or prioritize me in any way. And again, I have some kind of understanding around, I don't have a million followers. Like I get I'm not going to be front of mind, but still wanting to feel like someone really like was on my team and had my back. And for that, people will kind of compare and look around at like, well, how many clients does that person have? How many people does that person work with? And the way that I've explained it is like, well, you have a bunch of people that you work with, but there's only a small portion that you work with on more of like a managing type of style. And everyone else is like, well, if a brand is looking for XYZ and you have a contact with that influencer, then you're going to bring them that deal and see what they want to do with it, right? See if it's a match. I don't know if you would explain that any differently.
I mean, I think, look, like the thing is, number one, like I want to say, who am I the biggest fan of? Like in terms of who do I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's very like, and who appreciates me more? Like, it's like.
Courtney's also a Cancer for those listening.
No, Leo.
Oh, Leo.
So I need to be center of attention. I'm just kidding.
But our birthdays are so close. So I always think you're.
Yeah. We're literally 17 days apart from each other.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I just always associate July with Cancer, but yeah, you're right, Leo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think the big thing is just like who appreciates, who honestly like trusts you and also brings you opportunities. Like, I think it's a two-way street. Like, if you want me to handle things for you, then like I also am going to go above and beyond to like make sure that I also am like doing my side of the, you know what I mean?
So,
like, it's a two-way street.
And that's been a question. Yeah, that's been a question of, do you pitch yourself to brands? Do brands come to you? And it's definitely a bit of a mix. If I see someone that I know do a partnership with a company that I'm like, oh, hey, I would want to work with them, then I'll pass that out to Courtney or I'll slide in their DM. Otherwise, it's a lot of brands that slide in my DMs and then I'm forwarding that over to Courtney. And, for people who are coming off of a show or who are wanting to expand and find people to work with, I think, like you said, it's a two-way street, right? And it's about building that relationship because it is not like you work for me, I work for you. Like, I think you got to really be a team about it and be open to sharing those resources because it's just going to help better network for both of you.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also kind of, I had an interesting experience, which I think will kind of show you a little bit into the business or show the listeners a little bit into the business. Yeah, I'll have a story because it was kind of recent and I am so invested in my company and my clients and do genuinely care so much that sometimes it's hard because I get like emotionally involved and upset about things actually. But, I had pitched someone and for this alcohol brand and
Speaking of which, did we ever hear back about that non-alcoholic brand that I was going to work with? Okay. Shame.
Well, another problem where if it's such a huge brand, you guys, it's almost impossible. It's so hard to find the agency or are they doing it directly? But that's like a whole nother story.
Well, hey, everyone go comment on Heineken US Instagram page and let them know that I want to promote their non-alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, and then we'll find their agency that way.
Yeah, then we'll find the contact and
I like that.
Please support us. All right. So we're going to take a short break right here to talk about our mental health. Okay. Because we've got a wonderful sponsor of the podcast. Y'all already know it is BetterHelp. And not only is this sponsorship geared towards our listeners and clients, but also for therapists. So BetterHelp is actually hiring right now in all 50 states because so many people have been using BetterHelp. So it's a platform that I love and want to encourage y'all to check them out because it's actually licensed professional therapy from licensed professional counselors. And they specialize in all kinds of different areas, whether it's depression or grief or family conflict or relationships or sleeping or trauma. Anything that you share is confidential, it's professional, it's affordable, and they also offer financial aid. So be sure to check that piece out because I know sometimes therapy is not always the most affordable. And I really just want y'all to start living happier lives. Like, why not start today? You can get 10% off your first month by visiting BetterHelp.com/talkabout it. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/talkabout it. And now with that fun little reminder to take care of our mental health, we can get back to the show. Resume story time. Sorry.
No, well, I'll be quick. But there was an alcohol brand and like I specifically pitched one of the guys and he's not exclusive to me, which means that he can technically work with other managers, other agents to secure him deals, which the reason why I'm okay with that is because I don't bring him work multiple times enough to be a sustainable income. So I am okay with him working with other people. What happened was I pitched him, they reached out direct to him, he sent it to another agent, got the deal, posted on Instagram. That's how I found out he got the deal. And it was really interesting because I think it goes to show you that it's like I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, I know.
Sorry, the story. I'm sorry. We don't have to cut this out, but I'm just forget the point.
No, I mean, this is something that like we've definitely discussed where like,
why you bring deals, why he would bring, like, it'd be nice if he told me so-and-so reached out. Did you happen to pitch me? Cause why is this like great brand? I mean. Yeah.
Well, it can be kind of tricky, honestly, because there are so many moving parts. And sometimes the brands, like, you've had situations in the past too, where you'll pitch someone and then the brand will just reach out directly to them and not even go through you to pitch, to do the deal, when you've explicitly said, I work directly with this person. But I want to talk a little bit about like the branding piece, because I think this is super important and something that both influencers and listeners would be interested to hear, because I think over the last year and a half, I've gotten really, really specific on what my brand is. And over the last 2.5 years since ending my relationship with the show, I decided I will no longer give any fucks to appease the fans of this show. I'm going to be myself in every aspect of how I show up in this space. And I know I'm going to lose followers because of it, but I also hope that I'm going to create and curate more of a safe space and a space that is more in alignment with who I actually am. And that just felt natural and that felt very freeing for me personally. But I think there's also a bit of a game that people have to play when they do get off of the show in order to actually grow that initial attention that they're getting, right, in order to, quote, remain relevant. And I want you to talk a little bit about just like the importance of actually branding yourself and why that's so important.
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing that I will say, and again, it depends on what your goals are after the show. Like, if you want to be a social media influencer, you should brand, right? But it's tough because when I think of someone branding, I am coming from a manager agent where I'm saying, okay, what's going to be able to appeal you to the most amount of brands in stuff that you actually like? Like if you want to work with North Face, are you posting outdoorsy photos? Probably every other photo, like in the woods.
I just got flashbacks to Mean Girls in middle school with that. Oof.
With North Face?
Oh, yeah.
No, that was a thing. I went to an all-girls school. You had to have a North Face to fit in.
Yeah, South Carolina middle school, it was all the Mean Girls were wearing the North Face. And I was like, I need
That's so funny. I feel like that is like, that was like a high school thing for me. But yeah. I think the thing is that it depends what sort of brands are kind of your dream brands to work with. And that's kind of where I always start the conversation, because I want to hear, like, when you think of your favorite brands that you want to partner with, like, every day, and, right, when you come up with, like, 10 names, well, what is their brand? And what do you think they would look for post-wise, like, content-wise, for their campaigns? And it's interesting to even say it like that, but that kind of helps me track backwards with figuring out what your brand even is by telling me which brands you like. So that's what I like to kind of start with, is like trying to figure out there, because if you just say, what do you like? Yeah, it's really hard to come up with a brand. Like, it depends, but like, unless if you're, I'm trying to even think, like, because people will be like, I like fashion. And I'm like, well, you know how many, like, I mean, it's just like, what do you do with that? You know? And if you like fashion, like if you do like fashion, are you posting reels of like fashion type stuff? Cause I'm awful with fashion, but fashion type stuff every single day, or like a how to, or like different sort of creative things that have to do with fashion. Are you doing a weekly try on haul? Like, if you're not doing those things, you're not a fashion influencer. Today, like, this girl's like, do you have beauty influencers? And, like, it's really hard to think of that because all these girls wear makeup, but do they do makeup tutorials? Do they talk about their favorite beauty products? Like, it's an interesting thing to be like, oh, I like this stuff, but are you showing people that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you showing people that? Because if you're not showing people that in feed, then are you doing that? No. And I say that because people will be like, oh, I love food. I cook every week. And it's just in their stories. Well, if I go to your page, do I see that you like food or cooking? I mean, yeah, you could have a cooking reel for sure.
I do highlights.
Highlight.
Yeah.
But are brands scrolling through all that to watch it? Probably not. Like they're looking, oh, does she post about food? And let me tell you, like, there's definitely a pretty way to talk about food in feed.
Well, I do have in my bio that I'm like a plant farm nerd, and we did get that deal with corn, which I was so happy about and actually was slightly confused by because I had definitely slid in their DM months before, and then we saw them do a partnership with Becca, ex-Bachelorette, and then I was like, they got money? I was like, can we partner? But that was one I was really happy about because, I don't post about food a lot in feed, but I do it a lot in stories and I do it in highlights. And I have like in feed on occasion, but that was one partnership I was really excited about and happy about.
And I think that shows too, it's like, once you get one partnership in food, I think that helps kind of lead it to everybody else. Like, you know, it helps you with everything else.
Oh, yeah. Once I post one thing about vibrators, all the other vibrator companies want to work.
And it's true. And I even find that when clients are posting ads, like all the time, and like you're kind of one of them, and like a few of my other clients that are very busy with posting ads and content, like they're the ones that people are coming to first all the time because they see that they're so active. And like, that's the other thing is it's about being active and consistent on social if you want this to be your full-time job.
So what are your thoughts on influencers? Yes, branding is important, right? And people need to be active on social. But what do you notice, or what are your thoughts on some of the influencers that you work with in terms of how they talk about or post about current events that are going on? Because I think a lot of influencers try to just stick directly to their brand. And a lot of times, you know, if their thing is about food, it's not really like they're going to be covering, you know, current events or background, right, on, you know, food deserts and that kind of stuff, right? They're just posting like pretty cute food content, right? So like, how do you work with or see people engaging in what their brand is versus current events? Or like, how often do you actually see that part of their brand is also current events, like real life shit that's happening in our wild world?
It's interesting because I feel like, and I hate to say this, but I think majority of influencers' brand is not to discuss current events because Instagram is some sort of highlight reel to them, right? It's their highlight reel of their life. And a lot of times they don't share when they're struggling or their tummy hurts for 3 days or they have COVID, which like, why would you not share that you have COVID? That is like a great, I mean, oh my God, that sounds so bad. It is a great, but like, it's something where like, it like you are relatable to people in that second. And like, it is okay to take judgments from people. When, you know, like because that's what people are scared of. They're scared of the judgments. They're scared of the backlash. They're scared of people DMing them, sharing their opinions. So I think it's hard because you are one of a kind that will speak out and talk about it. That's what you're known for. And I also think that that's what differentiates you from a lot of influencers. That's why you get opportunities that a lot of influencers don't, because you do speak about things. I mean, it's interesting because I think a lot of people will be like, Courtney, I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, if you don't feel comfortable saying something, I even say don't do it. But I mean, you will see that we do see differently on that. But I do feel like if you're in the public eye, not educated about something, and we've seen a lot of people get a lot of press hate when they do speak up about something, because that's the world we're in, that sometimes that is why people stay quiet.
Yeah, it is. But it's also like, well, that's how you learn things, you know, like you're not going to be an expert in every topic, especially if it's not something that you've personally experienced. And like to stay in that place of comfort doesn't get you anywhere really, you know. And I'm going to share, there was another member of Bachelor with over 1 million, white blonde chick. And she had done a Q&A, and what she shared about things going on at the Capitol last week. There was a Q&A and someone said, what are your thoughts on yesterday? Please don't tell me you don't care. And she said, I think what happened yesterday is disgusting and shameful. The last year has just been one thing after another. And I think there are many people that just really can't handle everything going on and take care of their mental health at the same time. I struggle with feeling like I should speak up, but also know whatever I say isn't going to be good enough for some people and they're going to pick it apart. And I'm also not really sure I can handle that. So for now, maintaining a sense of normalcy on my social media is what's best for me. Hope you guys understand. I decided to engage in conversation with this person who didn't open it, but I know that she has seen what the beginning part of what I said. I know she has seen. So what I said in response, I said, even if what you say gets picked apart, it's an opportunity to learn. And the effort and risk you take to say anything still means something. The quote normalcy on here can feel gaslighting to folks, and it just keeps you in a place of comfort. It's okay to be upset, sad, scared, and whatever else. It's okay to get a little bit of backlash for speaking up for what's right, even if you don't say it in the best way. It sends a loud, clear message to folks when you don't say anything. I'm here for you, and I hope to see you find the courage to say something, even when it might not be to your advantage or is a little scary. I thought that was a nice message.
I do too. For sure.
And no response, no engagement from that. And then she had posted another story with a Q&A, and someone had said, like, you voted for Trump. And her response was like, no, false. Like, why do people keep asking me that? And
I'm even surprised she answered that, though. Like, if you don't want to be, I'm just saying, like, kind of back to what I'm saying, like, if you don't want to engage, then don't even answer these questions. And then that's one thing. But if you're going to decide to say something, then there's your opportunity to say something. Don't just be like, I'm still going to go beat around the bush and not say anything.
Yeah.
Like, that's like where I will.
Yeah.
agree.
But I think what's like interesting here, because you know, even the things that we saw happen at the Capitol, even just the way that things have, gone the last 4 years, like we do see that social media influencers do have an impact. Like, I hate the word influencing, you know, but it really is that. Like, you really do influence people's lives with what you share on social media, and having a platform is a fucking responsibility. Like, it's not...
It is.
Yeah, like even if you're just sharing fashion stuff, like you still have some kind of responsibility to the people that are not only helping you make fucking money, but are even giving you the opportunity to be able to monetize in the first place. And I mean, I know you and I, we've talked about it a little bit, but I mean, anytime I post something, you know, that is not in this highlight reel fashion, I will lose thousands of followers. like on the regular. And I was trying to explain that last week when everything was happening at the Capitol, the insurrection, and people were like so surprised by that, because I was trying to make a point of like, when people aren't saying anything and you're still supporting them with your follow, you're allowing them to continue to monetize off of their silence. And to actually support people who are speaking up and who are using their platform in a responsible way, because we will get punished for that from, the typically speaking, from the Bachelor fan base, who really just like can't take it, which is fine. People don't have to follow. But I'm wondering, how you view that, like as a manager working with someone who isn't necessarily doing things in favor of their engagement, right? Like I would do much better gaining followers and maintaining followers if I was not saying all the shit I say on a regular basis.
I mean, I feel like though that the follower thing actually is like the most annoying thing that people talk to me about. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like at the end of the day, if you have 10K followers or a million followers, if you don't have a brand or a thing or whatever, you could have the same sort of influence. Like if you have 10,000 followers, you could technically have the same amount of influence that someone that has 5 million followers has. And the reason why I say that is because it's all about how you're getting to know your audience. So if you're losing followers because it's something that you're speaking up against, they're not the ones buying your toothbrush anyway today. Really, they're not the ones that are listening to you for that sort of advice. And I could be wrong, but I feel like for the most part, those are the people engaged are the ones that are following you and stand behind most of your values. And they don't even have to stand behind your values, but support you. You don't have to always see eye to eye on every single thing. No. But listen, have the conversation,
Yeah. Well, how do you think people who are following different influencers, content creators on social, how they can best support people? In
terms of just like,
because we're talking about like followers, right? And like everyone, the farther off the show that you've been, the more followers that you lose. And it does become like people go into like fucking panic over it and are like, oh my God, I'm losing like thousands of followers every week. And like, what do I need to do? People will then start buying followers to make sure that they, stay at their 1 million mark or whatever it is.
True.
And it does become such this thing. Even though it sounds like also it's important to just have the engagement, right? Just having people active. So what kind of engagement is what people should prioritize in order to fully support influencers in the way that we need?
I think commenting, tagging friends, telling you about them, buying products from them, being nice when they have stuff to say, like, if someone's going to say something to Taylor, you can help back her up. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's my new segment, practicing allyship, where someone's harassing me or just saying stupid ass shit that I've already discussed on my page and is like, well, saying white people is racist. Then here, other white people that follow me, you can go engage and practice your allyship. Again, allyship is when it is not convenient for you. It is when it is not to your advantage to engage. Exactly. And that's what I said to the other person that message, I hope you find the courage to say something, even when it might not be to your advantage, because that is actually practicing allyship. So yeah, that's my new segment, because people are not entitled to my energy or my knowledge. And not when they coming at me like that with all that. No.
Well, and I think too, like, I am going to like stand up for the fact where like, we want fans to support as well, but let's blame the Instagram algorithm a little bit too. Like
it sucks. I have to be naked. I have to literally be naked.
And like, and I think like also, that's what is shitty number one. Like if I follow all these people, I want to see all their posts, even if it's an ad. Like I want to see all their posts. That's why I follow, like, remember years ago, it's like you would be able to see everything and you would just catch up to the last one. I like that. Like that's fine. Like because literally I see like no people's from high school stuff ever because it's just all my clients like on my feed all the time. But like I would love to see, I mean, even some of my good friends, it's like I don't see their stuff anymore. It's so weird. So that's not, but like honestly, I just always tell like all influence, I'm like content. Like it's just and this is what I tell you too. You give 3 and you take 1. You give 3 pieces of fun content or knowledgeable or impactful, teaching them something, whatever you want to do for your 3 posts, and then take 1. That's your ad. But like, I still think your ads are impactful. So
yeah, I mean, I try to make them that way.
Yeah. But no, I think that, fans is a way to support. It's really just commenting and being there. And
yeah, I feel like sharing is a huge piece of that helps support because when you share it and you tag me, you're then sharing it with your whole audience who might not have ever seen me before. And then someone from there might share me somewhere else. So sharing, I think, is a huge piece. Saving the post.
That's interesting. Yeah, a lot. Actually, a brand told me the other day that's helpful, that they look at all that stuff. And I had never heard of that because it makes sense. Yeah. Because you can bookmark all the posts that are interesting to you now.
Yeah, so feel free to bookmark my ads. And honestly, no, I wish people would do that because a lot of times I'll post something and then, literally the next day or week or whatever, I'll get like, hey, do you still have a code for that? What was that code? And it's like, well, when I post something, feel free to screenshot it so that you have the code on there or save the post so that you can refer back to it and see, oh, this was the code, this was the company. And then be sure to check the link in my bio because sometimes I will have links there for things that you probably are going to DM me for, but that you could have found your answer for right there, which is also something that brands should pay for, but don't necessarily. I mean, sometimes there's like a 30-day, put the link in bio kind of a thing that brands will pay extra for, but not really. Everything that I have in there are things that like people will frequently ask me about. So that definitely helps. And yeah, the sharing piece, honestly, like that's how a lot of like major influencers who have done things really organically, right, and not been on any kind of show and not put like paid ads or whatever, like that's how they've expanded because they were sharing something authentic and vulnerable about themselves, and then people really resonated with it, and then they shared it. Yeah. So
and that's another interesting thing of why you be impactful with your content too.
Yeah, definitely.
To really hit home there,
Yeah. And one of the last things I wanted to make sure that we talked about, because we were talking about this morning, and I was like, I feel like people should know this. Because in the past I've posted, let me know what partnerships have been your favorite. Have there ever been any partnerships that I've done that you weren't in agreement with and you didn't like that I did and that you thought was problematic? Because I want to know that information too, because I do try to be really thoughtful and intentional about the partnerships that I do and make sure that the brands are in alignment with me. But I also think, given the fact that what would you say my branding is, Courtney? How would you pitch me? What are the things that make Taymocha?
I mean, your little headline, I think, is ABC's The Bachelor / psychotherapist / plant-based / sexologist or / could be cat lover depending on the brand. No, but those are I would say the main things I think about. Oh, and then activist. Recently, more and more brands care about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the amount of brands even that are in alignment with those things, right? With psychotherapy, with being a sexologist, with social justice, with animal stuff, even with food stuff is pretty limited. It's a pretty niche branding area, you know, if you're doing beauty, you've got so many different makeup brands to work with. If you're doing fashion, you've got so many different, you know, if you're just staying really generic and you're just a pretty girl on Instagram, you know, there's a variety of things that you can be selling to people. And I think a lot more opportunities to monetize on that. And the one piece of feedback that I had a conversation with someone about on Instagram was their feedback was that one of the things that they didn't necessarily like was where they would see me promote two products of the same kind, but of different brands, and that was confusing for them because they felt like, well, is this not the, you know, natural deodorant that I use, or do I use the other natural deodorant? And part of what I shared was, you know, well, depending on the day, I might use both. And, you know, certainly there are competition agreements within a partnership, right? Where you might have 30 days, you might have 90 days, right? You're going to have some kind of exclusivity period. And because mine is so specific, you know, when it comes to sexual health, at least, which is one of my favorite things to talk about and to partner with brands on, it feels, I don't know, I struggle with it because I'm like, I just want to be able to post all of them because I support all of them and I'm in alignment with all of them. And then it feels
like you use all of them.
And I use all of them. You know, so sometimes it's like, oh, well, now do I have to pick? And then does that look like, you know, I'm not saying true to one because I'm using the other, when in reality, like if some, you know, million follower white blonde chick from the show is sharing Revolve, but then is also sharing, you know, Sheen or whatever, like, are we then questioning like, oh, well, what?
Well, so
really like
Taylor, this was interesting because I did bring it up on a call yesterday because I did like that comparison, but it was interesting because like, if you think about this, it 100% makes sense. People buy clothes every day and there's never enough clothes that you can buy. But when you think about like, no, I mean,
you can never have enough lube or vibrators or condoms.
But apparently, according to research, people only buy, like, because they're expensive, they only own like 2 to 3 vibrators versus
this is
100 or like 20 jackets like this.
That is very valid. And that is also why it's really important to me that we do have some kind of discount or giveaway that we're providing people with, because they are supporting me. And the only reason I'm able to even do a partnership is because I have their support and I'm able to monetize the platform in the first place. But
I thought that was interesting though, because you don't really, I don't know, like I didn't really look at it like that, but it's true. Like if you're spending over $100, it's like, how many sex toys do you really want to buy or whatever it is? But you have like 30 of them.
I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, but there's also like other ones that I don't have that like I'm so curious to try out and like have heard great things about. And you can use different toys for different things. So it's like, I don't know. I was just trying to think about it where I was like, damn, you know, there's not a lot of people in my position that look like me, that have the background that I have, both in education and in public reality space, who are talking about the things that I talk about, who are able to partner with brands in this way, to where I just felt like, oh my gosh, like, why should I not be allowed to do all of them?
Yeah.
And, you know, I talked about this on my Instagram story.
Well, maybe you're starting your own little boutique.
You know, we ain't got time for that. I wish.
Nope.
I wish.
But it is.
If anyone wants to help out.
Yeah, please email us.
Yeah. But I was posting on my Instagram, I don't know if you saw this story, where I was sharing like my most excited partnerships that I had over the year.
Wait, I'm sorry. You didn't think I saw your story? Well, no, I'm laughing because I feel like that's like one of the things where like I do because I make sure to screenshot every single brand that all my clients talk about and then send it to the brand like right away. So I'm always like, You don't think I saw that? At least skim.
Yes. Okay. So then you saw my stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically saying, I mean, in 2020, like I did some of like my favorite partnerships ever and did all of those with you. And, you know, I definitely made the most money this year that I've ever made in my whole life. And I think because we're a boss ass bitchin' team, more money than I even made coming straight off the show, even when I was a couple, and couples make bank. I didn't really make bank though. I like really didn't. But also maybe because I was traveling a lot. I don't know. But I think when I was looking over all of like my partnerships and stuff, we did over 100 partnerships this year to make
insane.
To make the amount that I made. Did over 100 partnerships. And you could do what? 3 posts with someone with 1 million or even 500K to be able to make what I made. Under no more than 5 posts to be able to make that, right? Depending.
No, it depends who you are.
Depends who you are, but several from Bachelor.
See, and I kind of like differ because I feel like you're so unique now where like we can price point you higher because of the impact that you're now making. Like I feel like when I first started working with you, your sales actually weren't even great. And then as you started opening up more with your audience and being consistent, I think people started to trust you more. And you started getting better and better and better with sales, I mean, too, in terms of also consistency. Mm-hmm. But I think that that's interesting. I mean, I have a client of mine where I started working with her right off The Bachelor recently. And I think when she started, she actually wasn't doing that well. But now that people are starting to get to know her more and understanding her brand, then she's actually been doing fairly well. So It's interesting because I think that it's just like your best friend. It's like how getting to know them. When are you going to start trusting them with their advice of what to do? Yeah. So it's kind of like, I mean, this kind of could be a topic for the beginning of the podcast, but it's interesting because it's like the more that you can make your fans or followers feel like they're your friend, then the better you'll probably do with brands.
And this is also where, like, I don't think people really realize the weight of this responsibility because, like things that happen at the Capitol, right? If influencers are sharing certain kind of information to their, followers, they're going to believe that information, right? They're going to take a second to digest that information. And there's been way too much misinformation and just fuckery being spread that it's like it doesn't take much to just say this was wrong.
Yeah,
it's not that hard to just say this was wrong or to condemn something, right? And then go right back to your fucking basic shit.
Yeah,
because people listen, people consider you a friend. It's a real responsibility and it makes a difference. It just really does.
Well, and even on top of that, because I mean, not really to do with that, but like kind of in the fact of that's why it's so important to me that my clients work with brands that they like. Mm-hmm. Because I think that when you advertise something that you don't like, you're losing trust with your fans and followers. So
and you don't like shooting it either. Like it's not fun to shoot that.
No, and like that's the thing. It's like, okay, so if you don't use that pimple popper, but they just want, 3K for a story or something. Yeah. And I just find it awkward because I'm like, number one, the people that buy it, like I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
But number two, like, are you going to lose trust with your followers that when you actually promote something that you're so excited about that they don't take it seriously and don't buy, and then you kind of lose trust with your fans and followers? So that's how I look at it, is like even with what you're talking about politics-wise and things like that, it's like at the end of the day, you're trying to build a relationship with the people that follow you.
But see, that's what's fucked up, Court, is that a lot of people don't look at it like that, though. People don't look at it as I'm building a relationship here. People look at it as, oh, people follow me and I get to make money. Like they look at it as like
they're the ones that work with agents. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yep. How do you think people can like spot and see when someone's posting an inauthentic ad? Like when I think about when I did get like fresh off the show, up until the last 2.5 years, I was posting ads that I wasn't really behind. I was like shooting it and feeling dead inside, literally feeling dead inside, and hating showing up to Instagram and feeling fake as fuck, feeling just honestly like shit, feeling like I was trying to play this role and be this person that I really wasn't. And now I'm like fucking pumped to be recording and doing, a Q&A story sponsored by WeVibe on vibrators and answering people's questions and seeing it actually as relationships and not just people that wanted to just take things from me and just wanted to like judge me. And I mean, that still does happen, but it was such a different thing getting off the show versus now of feeling like, oh no, it is much more of a relationship now. And I want to actually like develop and grow this community more to where you can trust the things that I'm bringing to you because I think are going to help you either with your mental health, your sexual health, your physical health, or challenge your brain in some way. Or maybe it's just something that's going to make you feel good. And maybe something I just fucking enjoy. And to me, I mean, we've talked about, or something that's like practical, right? Like even in my story that I just recorded yesterday that I'm posting today about the electric toothbrush, and I was like, this is hella practical. Like we do all need to be using an electric toothbrush.
Like a lot of people promote the brand, so sometimes it is seen as like different. But I think like the other day you were like, wait, like I need a new toothbrush anyway. Like what? Like, you're like, wait, I do want to do that. Like I do. Like I need a new freaking toothbrush. So can I? And it's interesting, but I think that that's what's so hard is that you can't always spot what's real and what's not real, which is why I feel like I differentiate from a lot of other people in the industry, because I try to tell them, hey, look, this person's paying you this. I don't think it's super on brand for you. And I think it's kind of a weird one. I do preference it like that when I forward it to my clients. I say, but I will support you if you want to do it. And I will be okay if you don't want to do it. And at the end of the day, it's up to them. I mean, it just like, that's what's, I think, frustrating is that you don't always know who's not authentic or who's authentic and who's not when it comes to ads. I mean, you would hope that if you see something every single day, it's like, I don't know what they like or not, like, because at a certain point you can become an actress, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that's what, I mean.
And you're just a walking billboard.
Yeah. Well, when people think that like after the show, they're like, oh, like, is it scripted? And I'm like, I'm not a fucking actress. Just in my intro video, like, can you say your name, where you're from, your age, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm Taylor. I'm from Seattle. What else did you want? What else am I supposed to say? I'm like, I can't repeat these things. I'm not an actress. And again, that's where some people might feel, alive doing ads in that way. So for me, again, like I said, it makes me feel dead inside. But I want to touch just very briefly on this piece because I know it's something that we have talked about in the past of looking at how dominated Instagram is by white blonde influencers. And I know you work with a lot of them. And I know you also do try to diversify your clientele as well. And part of what I was sharing in that story frame, of like, oh yeah, I'll do 100 partnerships to be able to make, what probably in 3 months, someone else could make. But also of adding to that brands are looking for people who have high engagement, who have high follower count to be able to pay them the big bucks. And because the algorithm is racist, and because the whole platform is more geared towards and favors, white blonde mommies and models and whatnot, you do more typically find that Black women, people of color, end up having smaller followings. And I'm wondering, Vanessa is trying to FaceTime me right now. I wonder how you balance working with the Black women that you work with or that you want to work with or that you have worked with in terms of... Or men, yes. Oh, he's so fine. Oh my God. I'm like in love with one of Courtney's clients. But I guess maybe two of them.
I was like, which one at one point? But like, I know. It's fine. I'm pretty sure I post about them on my Instagram story like at least once a week at this point.
Yeah. It's so fine. God. But yeah, like wondering what that experience is like for you because you see the differences, right? And what brands are willing to bring people like money wise. No?
I think that's a hard question because I think I want to start by saying that it's already effed up because the white people do have better engagement and more followers. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to say, right, that like, do they get paid more? Well, yeah, because they have more story views and whatever, and people are more interested in them and blah, 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 blah. Like, I mean, it just depends. Like, if you're a dad, you know, like, you might get more.
You fine. You hella fine. I should have gone on the show. Can y'all imagine? This is, okay, I'm going to share this. I almost went on. No?
You signed an NDA.
I didn't say anything, but you can't imagine me on a show where like I'm doing obstacle courses and shit like that. Just,
I mean, we could.
I would die.
It would be pure entertainment, really.
But he's so fine. I would, I don't know.
Anyway, I mean,
his fineness distracted me. I'm dickmatized by him, and I've never even had his dick.
It's interesting because I do feel like it's sort of my job to educate the brands in terms of my client's worth. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I think after the movement in June, I think that brands have already been a lot better. And so it makes my job a little bit easier when it comes to actually educating and speaking up and saying stuff. It makes me feel, because I mean, I am a white woman, so like sometimes I feel uncomfortable, but I think like if anything you've taught me, it makes me like I do stand up more for my clients of color when it comes to opportunities and I mean, if they're getting paid lower. But, like, I think in general, like, I just think that, like, they deserve, like, the same amount that my client would get paid. And, like, I don't even think of it really like that. But if you point it out, and, I mean, I feel like I want to hope that it's because of engagement. But I guess you don't know. And
sometimes, yeah. But
sure.
even again, even if you look at why the engagement is different and who's getting shown in the algorithm, right? Like that to me is where it's like,
yeah,
frustrating.
Well, and it makes me want to stand up more. I don't know. I think that's, can I say this too? Like,
say it.
And I want this, like, it's awkward because I also find, how do I like properly say this?
It's okay to not say it perfectly. Safe space.
I just feel like people of color grew up differently where they are more open to taking things sometimes of less money. And it's sad because I don't think that they always see their worth. And the reason why I want to say that is because I do have examples where people will say, oh, I'll do something for this much. And like, really, they should know their worth and be doing something more than some of these people that have less following, less engagement. And I don't know how to like properly say that, but I think like, I do want people of color to know their worth and know that they are worth what other people are getting paid of the same, if not less following. And I think it's always hard to know that, honestly, because you don't always know everyone's rates and stuff. But that's what I'll say. Because I think that knowing your worth as a person of color, especially during these times, is something that people need to know, and I have to help fight for.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely when I started working with you, I feel like I was getting paid shit and I was not properly like advocating for myself. And that's like been a huge difference for me in working with you, of feeling like you believe in me like more than I believe in myself. And like you help me to remind myself of my worth. And I think your statement definitely has truth to it, right? Like, especially for Black women in our society, grow up with messages that they aren't worthy, with messages that they are less than. And so to have a brand...
Well, they just didn't grow up with that much money. And really, at the end of the day, $8K is still $8K to them. They're like, hell yeah, but really they should be getting double that or whatever it is.
I think it also has to do with knowledge of the field, right? Like how we were talking about at the beginning of folks who are coming off of the show, they have no idea, right? And people are very hush-hush about their rates. And when I talk to other people that are coming off the show, I'm like, this is what I make for this kind of a post. This is what my engagement is, because I want them to know that that is doable for them and that they have every right to ask for that if a brand is trying to lowball them, because it will happen.
Well, it depends on your demos and all that stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
And if they follow us. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it depends on a lot of factors.
I just want to throw that in there because I think sometimes people always think it's all about the followers and engagement. And honestly, it's like if you don't have such a high U.S. following and it's a U.S. brand, like you just might not get a huge offer. If it's a brand that's targeting all men and you have majority female, like you might get a less offer. Like, and it's not, doesn't have anything to do with you as a person, but it literally could just be because of your demos. So like, just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. But you also have worked with like Black women who did not like, who grew up like quite wealthy.
I think you told me that, like maybe the area she was from. Let's take this out. I don't want to talk about them. Like 100%. What are we at? Let's close off.
Okay.
I actually think someone told me that though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But. Well, yeah, I think it definitely just depends on a lot of factors. And I think that certainly within our country, at least, Black people of color have been sent messages that they are less than. There is a very real gender pay gap. There's a very real racial wealth gap and pay gap. And I think we do see that reflected on social media platforms. And it's also the fact that Instagram is a billboard marketplace. It's a marketplace, and capitalism on itself is patriarchal and is fucking based in white supremacy. So all of those things combined, if someone grew up wealthy and knows, they're worth more than 8K or whatever, I think it can be different for everyone's situation, but I do think overall that is kind of what we see. And it is important for people to know their worth and to advocate for their worth, because you put in a lot of work. Being on Instagram is a full-time job, and it's also a responsibility. So I really do hope that, if anything, from the last few weeks, the last few fucking years, God, please let it be over, that people, specifically, the mega influencers, the white women that are on Instagram, can say things more. Like, just, you can take a little bit of that risk. You are well enough off to have someone to help you with PR, to where you can educate yourself and learn on things, right? Even if it is a risk, like it's a risk worth taking because you have a responsibility on this platform. Courtney, I'm so happy that we talked about this today. It's stuff we talk about like every day. But I know people had questions on and felt like it was important to discuss. what do you want to leave people with? Anything for listeners, people who engage with influencers, or for people wanting to be influencers or coming off of a TV show? Any last kind of input or advice that you would want to give to either of those populations of people?
I think my number one thing is like, make sure you're doing your best to be authentic with your followers and to try to show those sides of yourself. I mean, I posted a selfie the other day being, all right, just a reminder, post your selfie, post content today, makeup or not, because I think it's important to be like, you can post your true self, like especially in quarantine and with COVID, no one's wearing makeup, no one's necessarily looking good majority of the time. Like,
hey, you still looking good without that makeup.
Okay, I put a little on. No, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think that's my number one thing, like be authentic, and like you are allowed to say no to opportunities that don't feel like they align with your brand. That's for influencers. For people that follow, I would say support your favorite influencers, keep tabs of the brands that you actually like. If you don't want to buy them now, buy them later, support there. Comment when you can, and honestly, like share feedback when you can. Like most influencers do check their DMs here and there. They might not respond, but seeing your supportive messages does help, and is nice. And
you can also feel free to send brands you want to see us work with.
Yeah.
Someone did that with a bidet, and we worked really hard, but they want to pay Conan O'Brien and not me. So I think we did get a little discount, but I'm not getting paid. But I'll share it one of these days.
Well, no, we won't share it because we're gonna find someone that will pay. Might take a while, but
yeah, sometimes that's how it works. My last question for you, Courtney, is what is your most favorite partnership that you did in 2020? It doesn't have to be with me.
That's like so hard. Because there was like a lot of fun ones. And
okay, then like your top three.
Well, I'm trying to think of like which ones I got that I was like so excited about, you know, like off the top of my head.
If you can think of like one, then maybe like top three.
But can I just say brands? Because I don't want to say client name.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing this really cool. I'll do a little plug for them. Go check out Taste of Fox on YouTube and go see who's hosting their new cooking/food show. But that one was pretty fun. Coming out literally tomorrow. So that's fun that I helped coordinate, make happen. And honestly, I want to be like, I was really excited to work with 1-800-Flowers last year because, no, I mean, seriously, they like...
No, I know.
Although, wait, should we... No, but, well, there was 2 people that I got the partnership for. That was fun.
Yeah.
But for me, at least, because, you know, watch their season on The Bachelor.
Mm-hmm. So 1-800-Flowers, the Fox News thing.
I'm trying to think of like what deals I secured you because like Trojan came your way, but that was like cool.
Yeah, Trojan came my way. Plan B came my way. We Vibe I brought, which were my like top 3 of the year that I really loved working with.
But can I say that I branded you so that they would come your way?
Yes. Sure, yes.
Well, and that's where it's important, where if I'm giving feedback to, if I'm giving advice to my clients, like essentially for free, like I would hope that if some cool opportunities come your way because of the branding that I'm helping you with, that it's kind of that two-way street a little bit. Yeah. I literally can't think of right now because I don't even want to think about like the ones that like, I got like that were more like paid well versus like the smaller ones. Cause I feel like I'm equally like anything that's like an actual brand, I get really excited about. Oh yeah. One of my clients, it was her dream to work with Chili's, and I got her a Chili's campaign, and she was so fucking excited because I had been trying to track down the woman for a whole year at corporate.
I'm really surprised that in your top 3, this one didn't come straight to your head, because when I first started working with you like, this has been a dream contact for you to get. I feel like since
Duncan.
Yeah. And I remember I would always be like, no, Courtney, I'm not, like, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to be the one getting you the Dunkin' Donuts.
But that's technically 2021. Same with Fox, though, I guess.
Oh, yeah. True.
That's true. I always try to find certain contacts. My next is like McDonald's.
Why?
Because I love McDonald's breakfast. So like, and I think
Courtney, don't promote McDonald's.
But the people that really like McDonald's get so excited about that partnership.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Like, if you love it, then it's fine.
Yeah, but like anyway, the activist in me is like, this is not where we should be taking capitalism.
Anything that
the responsibility of the platform is not McDonald's.
Anything that my client actually loves and I get them a partnership for, that makes me excited.
Yeah.
That's truly it. And that's why I do paid partnerships and like want to focus more on like branding, is because I want to find your dream partnership and secure it. I mean, honestly, well, you don't really support it, but I won't say it.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I feel like everyone would be curious to know this anyway, but like I was really excited about the WW partnership that I got. The WW, that's what they're called now. The partnership for Kelsey.
Yeah, WW, not my jam. Last one that I did forget was Savage X Fenty, which is one of my faves that we've done this year. And literally last night, Zach and I were talking, and I was like, what's like your dream job? Like if you could do like anything, and like it didn't really have to like do with, money, like what would you do? And mine, like his response was something else. I'm not going to share his response, but my response, I was like, I just want to like wear lingerie all day. I was like, I just want to take pictures in lingerie, and like, that's my job. So
I know. Well, and it's so hard. The one thing that I've noticed with your partnership with Savage X Fenty is that whenever, like, I feel like you never can like enjoy that partnership as much, because like you're always in a rush to like get me content. And I don't know how to explain that, but like it's so
because
hard.
We did over 100 partnerships this year. I'm tired.
Yeah, but I should like, like have fun with it a little bit. Dance around. I'm just kidding.
I do have fun with it, and I love
it.
No,
you will do more.
Yeah. We've got more of that content coming your way in 2021. But I love you so much. We're going to wrap up. And
love you
where can people find you if they want to work with you, if they have questions for you, if they want to follow you, and all your client tips on Instagram?
Yeah. Do you want to get me to 2,000 followers? At Courtney, SYLVANNA, Sylvana, my middle name. And let me know if I should like start a Little Red Management Instagram. And I really wonder that, because I was talking to a client last week, and sometimes I'm just like worried to show like all of the partnerships that I've done, because in this industry, it becomes very competitive and people get upset if they didn't get a partnership over someone else and things like that. And there's always a reason why that person was picked. So whether there was the demos, the content that they put out there, whatever it is.
Yeah,
and so
not every brand is going to want to work with you.
No. And I feel like that's the thing is that sometimes I worry, but I do feel like people would love to see partnerships sometimes.
Absolutely. I would. So people should just slide in your DM on Instagram, eh?
Sometimes I respond. Sometimes not.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's where y'all can find Courtney. That's me. Sometimes I respond, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't have the energy for that. But I love you so much, and I'm so happy we did this, and hopefully this was helpful for both content creators, influencers, and listeners and followers and everyone. So appreciate your time and your energy and all the things, as always.
Thank you.
All right, that does it for today's episode. Thank you so much for making it all the way through and keeping your ears, your hearts, and your minds open. It would mean so much to me if you could take a second or two after listening to this episode to leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you're enjoying about the show. I love reading, what your favorite episodes are, where you guys listen, and definitely feel free to share this with a friend. I mean, part of how we break down the stigmas around these topics is by talking about them, right? And sharing them with more people. So definitely share the podcast. And again, really wanting to include all of you in this podcast. So if you have questions or you want to share a thought or an experience, please send in a voice memo to ask.letstalkaboutit@gmail.com. And I'm really excited to keep having these conversations and breaking down these stigmas. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll talk to you next time.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy Podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy Podcast on your podcast app.